Hey, good morning, it's Owen, Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Okay, this one's going to be fun. I've done lots of blogs over the last couple of years on how to properly sell your home, how to market it, how to price it right, how to create a lot of interest and get maximum selling price for it. That's what I do. I'm a full-time marketer. So this one, though, I'm going to flip the script a little bit on it and call this one How Not to Sell Your Home. Or at least maybe you'll sell it, but you'll sure be leaving an awful lot of money on the table. Now, everything I'm going to go through here is currently unfolding on the MLS, and it unfolds on the MLS on a daily basis on my hot sheets. They're doing one or a combination of these things that is severely limiting the marketability of their home, if they can sell it at all in some of these cases. So here we go, in no particular order. No photos. It amazes me in the day of camera phones and everything else, how many listings hit the MLS with no photos whatsoever. Now I can understand if it takes a few days to get the photos, but I've got listings on here that I see here that have been on for months with no photos. The other thing is that what you'll get in the downtown condo market is you'll get a photo of the outside of the building, then maybe another photo of the outside of the building from a little different angle, then a photo of the lobby, a photo of the elevator banks, photo of the concierge desk, photo of the exercise room, and then let's throw in one more photo of the outside of the building from down the street. Or you'll get photos that look like they've been taken with one of those $5 camera boxes. They're dark, horrible. It all starts with photos in this day and age with the internet. Buyers are going to be looking at photos online first, and so do realtors. When we see a listing hit, we're going to skim through all the photos to see what it looks like. So there's no excuse. If you don't have photos, you are severely limiting the marketability of your home. And now, being a listing specialists like me are going to get professional photos done every time. I don't cheap out. I hire my professional photographer, comes out for an hour and a half with all the lighting equipment and cameras, and the photos are going to come out well lit and beautiful. It's a small price to pay. I pay for it. But my clients wouldn't want it any other way. You have to have the photos, and I'm amazed at how many don't. Next one, severe limitations on when you can show the property. I'll see this all the time in the realtor's remarks for whatever reason. Usually it's tenanted, so can only show the property Tuesdays from 2 till 4, Fridays from 1 till 4, and Sundays afternoons. So with restricted showings, there's just too much inventory out there right now, too much competition. Most buyers are just gonna move on to the next. They're gonna look up your building and they're probably gonna see 8 or 9 other listings in that complex. Let's look at these ones first. So you can't restrict it, and then that brings up the point about trying to sell a tenanted property, which is my third point here. I've blogged about this one before. You can sell a tenanted property, but keep in mind you're leaving money on the table. And whenever somebody calls me to tell me that they want me to list their property, but it's tenanted, watch one of my earlier video blogs about it. I first off see when does the tenancy end. If it's coming up in a few months, great, let's let it end and then we'll sell it. We'll list it when the tenant's moved out. That's the best way. If they've still got a lot of time left on the tenancy, I suggest we sign what we call a mutual agreement to end tenancy. It's going to cost you an extra month's rent, but it's worth it. It's now vacant. We can show it whenever we want. We can clean it up. And the most important thing is that the closing date is defined now. The buyer can pick his dates rather than having to wait for the tenancy agreement to end. It's much better. Any money you spend getting a tenant out, I'll get it back for you threefold. I can tell you right now. And some of these things I see on the MLS, I see listings that have been listed for years. And the landlord, I guess he's so cheap, he just continues to renew the tenancy agreement for another year. I've seen a whole bunch in here where the tenancy has just been renewed. So they're trying to sell the property, they've been trying to sell it for years, and they just entered into another 12-month tenancy. Who is going to buy that kind of property with a 1 year left on the lease? You're limiting your pool there to not only investors, which might be maybe 20% of the buyers downtown, 80% you're leaving out because they want to move into it, and you're asking them to assume an existing tenancy, which is a whole other video blog I'll do. Stay away from it. You're just buying someone else's problems. You want to get your own tenant in there, do your own screening, and get your own tenancy agreement signed. For all you know, and what I've found in a lot of cases, the tenancy agreement they've got is lacking and they haven't filed the proper paperwork like the Form K with the Strata Council, or with the management company. So that's a whole other thing there that I'll get into. But oftentimes too, most buyers are going to be working with a realtor. They're going to have access to all the history. I'll see listings on here that have been listed for 2.5 years with 4 or 5 different realtors. So they run a realtor for 6 months, fire them, hire another realtor. That tells a story right there when I see that. One of a couple of things. First off, the property's obviously overpriced, or there's something very wrong with it, or the seller's nuts. He just keeps burning through realtors. Probably best to avoid that one. Check out what else is available in the building, and let's look at that one first. So those are just some of the things. The final one, and this one is a real killer. A wrong click of the mouse can reduce your buyer or potential buyer pool by about 90%. And what happens is when you're doing a search for detached or attached, that's how you break it down on the MLS. Right now, you would be surprised at how many townhomes are under the detached category. Because realtors will put in there just because it's a detached townhome, and there's lots of them that aren't actually attached, but they're detached. But they're still a townhome, they're stratified. And because it's detached physically, they'll put it under the detached category, which is completely getting lost. Anyone that's looking for a detached home is not going to be interested in your detached townhouse. It's still a stratified property. You've got a unit number and you've got strata fees on it. So it's getting lost. People are just, what's this doing in here? And move on to the next one. But it's amazing how many of those I see that are, sure, they're detached physically, but they're still a stratified property. So they're in the wrong category, they're lost. You're not going to get any action off of that whatsoever. The other thing they'll do, which is a common mistake, is they'll put it in the wrong sub area of the city, whether it's Vancouver or Richmond. For Richmond, for instance, it's a home in Bridgeport area. They'll accidentally put it into Boyd Park. So anyone looking in Boyd Park sees this listing in Bridgeport, they're just going to throw it out. I mean, that's not what they're looking for. So it's important, and accidents happen when you're doing data input at the board. I mean, most of the big brokerages now, like MACDONALD Realty, we have our own in-house data input, so we don't make too many mistakes. Smaller brokerages, though, they have to send it off to the board and then they input it. And let's face it, everyone's human, we make mistakes, but it's important that the realtor, of course, once you get that listing hit the MLS, you have to check it immediately to make sure everything's there. It's in the proper sub-location, and if it's detached, it's in the detached section. If it's attached, it's part of attached. So fairly simple, but it's amazing how many listings have been on there for months and they're in the wrong category. I see them all the time, and I'm quite sure that the seller isn't aware that that's the situation. He has no idea. He probably has no idea all the money is leaving on the table with a lot of these things I've mentioned here. So that's it in a nutshell. That's how not to sell your home. You can still sell it, but you might be able to with some of these mistakes, but you're definitely leaving an awful lot of money on the table, and forget about getting top selling price for it. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.